to help with the addiction of modern technology. On January 25th and the 30th at Father Gorman Community School, a screening of the documentary Screenagers will be shown. The documentary is a close look at how time on tech can impact a kid's development.
The documentaries are really a tool around having conversations about screen use and being aware of sort of screen time, the impact that it can have. And for parents, it provides some strategies and some ideas about how to initiate some of those conversations with their children about how are they consuming media, how are they using screen time, how much screen time they're having, and whether or how they create some limits around that.
Created for children age 8 to 18, it looks at tips for kids to slow down and reduce their dependence on technology. Tickets are free, but registration is required on the city's website.
Plowy McPlowface is probably one of the funniest names I've ever heard in my entire life. I think that one's tops. That's probably the best one for sure. That's hilarious. Oh my Lord. Yeah, that is a perfect way to segue into our weather forecast. Now, as we switch over to it here in the border city, we are just sitting at -9 with that wind chill feeling around -12. But the best thing for today, I would say, is that even though we are still feeling quite cool out there, we are seeing that sunshine peeking behind those clouds. So hopefully everybody has been enjoying a little bit of sunshine that we've been getting after this fog advisory. Switching over to our school day forecast for tomorrow for all the kids out there, they're going to be starting off with those single-digit temperatures right in the morning with -6. As they go through the day, they will be seeing it warm up to around -2 by the time the school day is out. So definitely going to be seeing a beautiful day. A little mixture of some sun and cloud. Probably going to be a bit more cloudy tomorrow, but hopefully, as we saw today, we will be seeing it start to peek out from behind those clouds throughout the mid-afternoon, closer to the evening. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, most spots are following suit with us here in the border city around -8 to -9 degrees. We are seeing that -7 for Bonnyville, Vegreville, and down in Provost. We're seeing those double digits there in Wainwright with -10, and over in Edmonton beating us out again, hitting that 0 mark. So Edmonton definitely is looking a lot warmer for today, but the rest of us are still seeing those single-digit temperatures, can't complain. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side, most spots are seeing around the same conditions as what we are looking at on our Alberta side, between -7 to -9 degrees in most spots. Up in Isle Cross around -6, and we go a bit lower to Macklin, they are just at -10 with those double digits, but still seeing a beautiful day. North Battleford will be going down to low of -14 for their evening low, so cooling down just by a few degrees. Not too bad of an evening low temperature, I would say. They aren't seeing too high of a chance of some flurries later on, just mostly some cloudier skies. Then for their Friday, North Battleford will be looking at a daytime high of -6 and seeing partly sunny conditions. So expecting a beautiful Friday for North Battleford. Going over to Cold Lake, they'll be going down to low of -11, so seeing those double digits for their evening low, cooling down just slightly, but you know, we've seen worse. I think we should all still be pretty grateful. We are being spoilt right now for this January season because we will be seeing that drop pretty soon as we head into February. Then Cold Lake for their Friday, we'll be looking at a daytime high of -2, seeing a beautiful temperature and a mixture of some sun and clouds, so a beautiful Friday for them. For us here in the border city, we'll be going out to low of -8 for our evening low. We won't be seeing those double digits tonight too much. With that wind chill, we will probably be feeling closer to that -15. But as we were saying before, you know, we've expected a lot worse than this, so it's going to be quite a beautiful night for us tonight, pretty warm. And then tomorrow for our Friday, -2 for our daytime high, and hopefully seeing a little bit more sunnier skies tomorrow as we kind of head into the weekend. And now ending off with a couple weather photo submissions that we have. Thank you to everyone that have submitted on our Facebook page. Got this one nice here, a nice cloud shot. Absolutely love to see it. Thank you. This one's from Neil. I love seeing that everyone's getting these cool shots too when they're outside and enjoying it. Another beautiful tree shot. I love this one from Nadine. Thank you. We got nice sunshine in the back between the trees. Very nice. And here's another one from Sanish. Thank you so much for this shot. I love seeing those drone shots, just like really high up there, getting the beauty of it. Absolutely love to see it. That's all I have for now. We'll have more coming up after the break.
The Lloydminster Bobcats are looking to stay in the win column heading into a showdown on the road tomorrow night. Bobcats face the Fort McMurray Oil Barons Friday night and are looking to get another win on the road after defeating the Sherwood Park Crusaders 5-2 yesterday. Brock Kurlucky had 2 assists in the tilt, extending his point streak to 5 games, having 13 points during that span.
A lethal stick, so anytime he shoots the puck, you never know what's going to happen, and I think that's a big part. And when we can get him shooting, it gives him more opportunity, and it seems to be going in the back of the net. So if we can keep him shooting, is a big part of it, and he's not afraid to go to the net and be around that area. And I think that's a big part, especially as a 20-year-old up front for us.
And puck drop for tomorrow's match against the Oil Barons is set for 7:30 p.m. And now it's time for us to check in once again with Shelby Clark, who has another look at weather.
Thanks so much again there, Mr. Jace Mackey. Yes, now taking another extended look at your weather forecast, we will be starting off with our central zone of the provinces. On the Alberta side, we have warmed up definitely from what we were looking at throughout the week, as we are even now seeing some plus temperatures almost in some spots. Edmonton and Whitecourt are both twinning at that 0 mark, while it's 2 degrees in Edson. So Edson is definitely looking the warmest. The rest are seeing those minuses, but those single digits, once again, I say we can't complain. -4 for Red Deer and Athabasca, while it is -2 in Rocky Mountain House. Jasper's just at -1, so we're looking very nice over on our Alberta side. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side, they are looking slightly cooler compared to the Alberta side, as they all are, of course, seeing those minuses, but by a few degrees, they're definitely looking like they dropped a bit today. -9 matching with us here in the border city with North Battleford and Meadow Lake, looking at that -8 up in Cold Lake, and we go a bit farther out, and they are just seeing those -5s and -6s. Going over to our northern zone now, they actually are matching with us in our central zone, I would say, especially on our Saskatchewan side. -13 down in Flin Flon, looking the coolest, while the rest are seeing those single digits. Most are just at -9 up in Uranium City, Stony Rapids, and Wollaston Lake. And we start to warm up slightly with the Losh and Buffalo Narrows at -6, and South End is just at -8. Now going back over to Alberta side for our northern zone. They are looking quite warm for today. They are matching with us in our central zone, as well as some spots even getting closer to that plus degree point. I hate to say it again, please make sure you are taking advantage of going outside and enjoying this for this winter month, because it's going to be dropping in February for sure. Slave Lake is just at that 1 degree point, while the rest are seeing those minuses. -1 in Fort McMurray, -2 for Peace River and Grand Prairie, and high level in Fort Chipewyan just at -4. And as we look over in our southern zone, they are looking the warmest compared. Lethbridge especially at that 2 degree mark. Banff just at that 0. The rest are seeing those minuses. Calgary with -1, and we are seeing -6, -7 for Coronation and Medicine Hat. Now as we switch back over to our Saskatchewan side in our southern zone, they have drastically cooled down for today, I would say. They were definitely seeing some warmer conditions earlier on in the week, but for today they have dropped, especially for Swift Current and Kindersley now at -12. The rest are seeing those single digits with Yorkton at -9, and the rest just at -5 degrees. But now as we look at some overnight temperatures in some surrounding areas, if this would like to listen to me, there we go. For our surrounding areas, for some evening low temperatures, we are going to be seeing those double digits, of course, for our evening low temperatures, but we are kind of continuing that nice warm pattern for our evening lows, which is always nice. A low of -14 is the coolest expected for Provost and Paradise Hill, a low of -10 to 11 for Bonnyville and Isle of Cross, and Meadow Lake is expecting a low of -9. So I would say we are used to seeing way worse than this, like even getting to those -30s like that we usually would expect here in January. But yes, we are being spoiled rotten with these temperatures, and even with those conditions, we aren't going to be seeing anything too crazy tonight in these surrounding spots. So tonight will be a pretty calm night, just going to be seeing some cloudier skies. And now looking at our hourly forecast for here in the border city tomorrow for our Friday, we are going to be starting off with that -6, not too bad of a temperature right off in the morning. So we go through the afternoon, mid-afternoon to around 4 p.m., even warming up to -3, and we're going to be kind of continuing that nice warm pattern with -3 throughout the rest of the day into the evening. So get ready. We are expecting a beautiful Friday here in the border city. Now, as we look a little bit more into our extended forecast, we are expecting that -2 there for our daytime high. Mixture of some sun and cloud tomorrow. Then for our weekend, be prepared. We are getting those plus temperatures with that 1 on Saturday, 4 degrees on Sunday. We aren't expecting to see too much sun peeking behind those clouds during the weekend, but I would say with those temperatures, you know, it's still going to be quite beautiful. But just be prepared for Sunday because we are seeing around a 60% chance of some flurries, which is definitely a switch up from seeing that 4-degree mark. It's kind of unexpected, but make sure to keep those shovels ready. That's all I have for now. RJ Smack, you have our news coming up after the break.
A new interdisciplinary clinic has opened up shop here in the border city, and the two business partners behind the project join me now. First of all, just tell me a little more about integrated therapies and performance.
Integrated Therapies and Performance is a community public service business. Right now, especially in the mental health field and some of the other health fields, in Lloydminster, we've got public agencies and NPOs doing a lot of heavy lifting. These are the people that do the majority of the helping in healthcare in our region, and they do a really great job of it. And on the extreme other end, we have a lot of small sole proprietorships for psychologists or speech and language pathologists or occupational therapists. Our business slots somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of services that require more than one type of clinician. And so we've integrated occupational therapy, speech and language, psychology, and a couple of other fields. So there's certain services that require more than one clinician, and it can be difficult when you're a sole proprietor to address those needs. And there are times where, quite frankly, maybe some of our nonprofit organizations in the area might have a hard time hiring people they need. They might only need somebody for a third of the time, a quarter of the time, what have you. So the goal of our business is really to fill a gap between the large public service agencies and the NPOs and the small single, I guess I'd say the single clinician or the single field businesses. So we're just sort of finding this niche, and our hope is that we can really provide the kind of work to certain clinicians that they're not able to find around Lloydminster otherwise.
Now, just going through the list of all the services that you provide, you offer, it's quite large. Can you tell me a little more about just the work that went into getting this off the ground?
I was able to kind of reconnect with a lot of the people that I have encountered in my past and that were very skilled, and be able to bring them in and kind of build a flexible schedule for them. So if they have other work, whether it's employment or contract work, then we were able to kind of work together, and they could run their own hours, whether it was in person or online or weekends or evenings or whatever works with them, to be able to build what we needed to build. The number of people, I think I signed 2 officially yesterday. So I think right now the total is 14, I believe, of actual direct employees and or contractors that just work under our logo or under our brand.
Now, that kind of leads me into my next question. I know that you had a big grand opening in December at the end of last year. How has the reaction been from people now since you opened your doors?
It's been very well received. People have been very appreciative of having I think the thing we hear often is they walk in and it's so helpful to have all the services under one roof. That they're able to come, and if they see a psychologist for their child, but maybe their child also has some language processing concerns or academic concerns, that they're able to then connect with a speech pathologist or an educational psychologist, and everybody is under the same roof, and we can work collaboratively. It's very easy. One of the things that kind of that was part of the reason I wanted everybody under one roof was often the disciplines work sort of as islands. So maybe you might get a school-based psychologist to do academic piece, and then you have a counseling psychologist in a private practice doing some work, and then you have a speech pathologist working on language development, and an OT maybe from the school, and everybody, as much as they're all skilled and eager to support that child to the best of their abilities, there's a disconnect, right, in the sharing of information and the ability um, to really build a wraparound or a holistic plan for that child. As well, it's a lot for parents to try and navigate where to go for which appointments and when, and how to sign release of information forms to provide consent and know who's talking to who and all of those pieces.
Now, I know your new clinic is located in downtown Lloydminster, and for people who are looking to get in touch with you to find out more, how can they do so?
We just bought a building downtown on 5009 50th Street, and we are waiting for our large sign at the top, but apparently COVID slows those things down as well. So there's a little sign on the door. We're not. Sometimes it's a little tricky for people to find right now, but you can find us in Google. Anyways, we got our maps in line finally. As far as connecting with us, we have a website. So it's www.huntpsychologicalservices.com. So it goes under. It's still linked to my original name, but and on that it has a list of all of our services, all the different people, who's available. And then there's also right through there, we have a link to our secure platform. So we accept referrals. We do accept referrals from doctors or agencies, but we are a self-referral or self-driven agency. So if anybody wants to self-refer or refer their child, they just connect with us. You can book right through our website. So on the Hunt Psychological Services website, there's a book now button, and it just takes us to a secure platform, and you can register and find access to calendars of anybody, or you can call in, you can send a email to the info account, and if you have some questions. So yeah, there's lots of ways to reach us, but definitely can always just connect yourself. You don't have to wait for a doctor to refer or anything like that.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News once again is global meteorologist Peter Quinlan. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, Peter.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Shelby.
Of course, no problem, because I just wanted to start this off, for the new year. We were just talking about this with January this year so far. We have been seeing some warm conditions, and it doesn't always feel that way, of course, when you're outside, not too warm out. But once you look at the temperatures, we've been seeing a lot of single-digit temperatures for a few weeks now. Do you think it's kind of odd that this is happening through this month?
Yeah, I absolutely do. In terms of Lloydminster, we should be seeing daytime highs around that -8 mark, which means half the days should be colder than that. We've only seen 2 days this January in minus double digit for daytime highs, so we should be seeing that way more frequently. And even this week, the average daytime high is -11. So we normally would see that, and we typically would want that, I think, as well, because that's what we would normally expect in the city.
And do you have kind of an idea of why you think it's kind of happening so far with just seeing some of these temperatures starting off with the new year in this January, definitely compared to previous years as well?
Yeah, so we have been kind of in this transition out of La Nina into El Nino. What La Nina is cooler waters in the Southeast Pacific, but we are transitioning out of that. So we've been kind of getting those warmer air masses pushing in, and it's been bringing with it the clouds. We've had some fog and fog advisories a lot of times over the last little while in the Lloydminster area. And whenever we get the clouds overhead, it acts like a blanket. It keeps the heat in. So this is almost like what we would typically see in parts of the interior British Columbia. It's just shifted a little bit further to the east. So that's been one of the reasons why we've been seeing this.
And now, of course, there's been some talk, and we've been seeing this, that there's been a polar vortex hovering over Siberia, and meteorologists here are saying it could be headed to Canada in early February. Now, can you first explain what a polar vortex is and what kind of comes with this?
Yeah, so the polar vortex is the cold pool of Arctic air that usually sits over the North Pole at this time of year. It's the coldest air on Earth as we are in winter. And when it was over Siberia, we saw even values down to -60, some record-breaking values. And don't worry, it won't be happening in Lloydminster, but we are going to see a big cool down as we head toward the end of January, really next weekend, and then into February. And it looks like it could bring in a cooler than normal February. So we're not done with winter yet. That polar vortex will move in toward Hudson's Bay likely by next weekend, and it will start to, its influence be spread onto the prairies.
Well, that's really good to hear, especially for us here in the border city. Very nice. Glad you
Yes.
added that part in. But with you saying that, you do believe that it could be hitting, of course, like Canada in early February, kind of expecting it to cool down. Would there definitely be a drastic change in those temperatures in February that we have seen in previous, years with those temperatures?
Yeah, we are expecting to see kind of that typical winter weather that we would see in the Lloydminster area, where sometimes even daytime highs might be in the -20s and overnight lows in the -30s. So keep that winter wear around. I know this has been a really nice break for us. Enjoy this next week while it lasts, because big changes are likely going to come into February.
I know it's pretty hard to be able to determine, what's going to be coming up ahead for, in the next few months. But with speaking on the polar vortex and definitely expecting that to be hitting Canada and seeing those chillier conditions for our February, how would you say that it could be looking for, March and April?
Yeah, that's a little bit more difficult to determine the long range forecast. There is kind of potential for things to go either way at this point. We could see that polar vortex linger a little longer, but we have been seeing a number of warm ups, more than we actually initially anticipated when making the winter forecast. So the potential is for that to swing back over to Siberia. Really, the polar vortex will be determining our weather as we take you toward the end of winter and even into early spring. The overall consensus with the weather models is that we're going to get out of this pattern into March likely, and we'll actually start to warm up a little bit more quickly than we initially thought into spring. So at least there's some hope, but a lot can change between now and then.
Of course, yeah, with this weather, it always switches up. It's like a dime, kind of like wait 5 minutes and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. That's life in Lloydminster.
Yeah. So pretty much from what we were speaking with the polar vortex and whatnot, you're pretty much saying that, winter is definitely not over. And we've been speaking about this, of course, every day with our weather forecasts. Just be prepared and be grateful for this temperatures that we got right now, because it probably will be dropping soon.
Yeah, and especially those overnight lows, you'll really feel it in the morning.
Perfect, Peter. Well, it's always nice to be able to speak with you and get that expertise out there for all of us, what we could be expecting in the next month or so. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shelby. Stay warm.
Ending off with a quick look at your 7-day forecast. We will be expecting a nice day tomorrow with -2. Seeing those plus temperatures for the weekend with that 1 and 4 degree mark. Get ready for some more snow on Sunday to end it off. Then as we head into next week, we will be seeing a different change in temperatures with -4 Monday, warming up again Tuesday, but also seeing some more snowfall, surprisingly. So make sure to have those shovels ready. And then we will be cooling down after that next Wednesday and Thursday with -7 and -4.
Thank you so much for that, Shelby, and thank you all for joining us for this edition of Primetime Local News. Have a good night. We'll see you again tomorrow.